So I started telling you about my way I started reselling about 30 years ago, and been doing it ever since. You know, like I was sharing earlier that my assignment for selling was given about 30 something years ago in the ministry, and God gave everybody a word in the assembly of different items. But at the same time, that was part one. I didn't wait for part two. I ran off and I went and I got my business license the very next day. I went and I got a vendor's license. I knew I wanted to be in some type of business, and I was new in some areas of business, and I just knew I wanted to be able to take care of my children. I have 3 beautiful children. So I went and I got my business license, and from that, I had to go and I had to get all of my state permits and all of those different things, and it was a journey. It was an interesting time because I didn't know there was a part two, and just coming into the ministry I did. So it's been a 30-year teaching ministry when it came to my walk in Christ and reselling. So I started with water. I started selling bottled water on the streets out of a vending cart, and it was a cart that my son and he wasn't my son-in-law then, but he was my a brother in the ministry, and the Lord blessed them to build my first cart, which was a wood cart. And when we took it for inspection, I had to go back. We had to do some modifications and put something washable on the outside. So that was my first ministry cart as far as selling bottled water. And it was a festival that was coming up, a gospel festival that was coming up in my area. And I went out there with my license, my bottled waters, and some snacks, and we started selling. And from then, it was just on, running into some tough tops. I tell you, when God gives you something, and like I said, there was some hiccups in there that I didn't know, things I needed to do and I didn't do, running ahead of God. Yes, I did. I ran ahead of God, not proud of it, but I was learning. And then I ran into the enemy and didn't know that. And running into the enemy sent the police after me. And, it was just a big thing. And you might say, the police burn? Yeah, when God gives you something that you do, always look for the enemy. And I would tell anybody that. In business, you're excited, you're running out there, you're doing things. There's going to be hiccups in business. And whether it's in the licensing, the planning, the something. But that was one of my starts in business and stuff. So I had my water car. I would bring it out daily. They built it even bigger than it could fit in my minivan. We took the seat out and it was in the minivan, and we would go out every day, and I would start selling waters. I still have my part-time job, but I would go out and I would sell water and stuff. People were coming. We were by a high school and people would stop. And, we did that for almost a year, but it was always something. And I'm not going to go into the something, that's part of the story, but you can start a business with what you have. And you don't need money. You don't need that kind of money that the world tells you you need. That's the world system. God has a different system. God has a system inside of a system. But you got to get in that word and begin to just read through the word, and God's going to show you. You go from the beginning. God's the greatest businessman who ever lived. I don't care what anybody tell you. He wrote the book. So who knows better than God about business? So I just wanted to come out here and be an encouragement. Don't be discouraged. Be encouraged. There's some gift and some talent that God has placed in you that you can do a business. I don't care what anybody say. They could talk about AI. AI ain't nothing but a tool. Don't let fear creep up in you. I could get going, but I'm not. I'm coming on to encourage you that you can start a business with the information, the skills you have. You just have to know how. You can't be taught. All right, this is Miss Fern from FML Diversified. You be well, and we'll be chatting with you later. Come back and, learn. I'm going to always be dropping the gems that you can be a business owner. You are a business owner. You just don't know that you are a business owner, and you got to be taught. Be encouraged. Have a wonderful day. This is Fern from FML Diversified. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.